Agreed to. I call the member for Baulkham Hills.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I'm always amazed to stand up and hear from the Shadow Minister for Fair Trading, probably one of the 20 Labor MPs that have never worked in the private sector in her life, but all of a sudden she's an expert on commercial law and she can stand up here and tell us all about how businesses...
The member for Bankstown rises on a point of order.
How to ruin them.
Point of order. I have to say to that member,
I don't think that's a point of order.
Sector, and I take great offence to what he is suggesting. I have worked in the private sector.
What's the point of order?
Macca's at 6:30.
Yeah, I don't know if Kentucky Fried Chicken counts, but anyway, Mr Chairman, Mr Speaker, we do stand out here as a government.
Order.
Point of order, Mr Deputy Speaker. There's really no need for this member to speak.
That's
in such
no
a
point
manner,
of order. I call the member for Baulkham Hills.
I digress, Mr
I call the member for Baulkham Hills.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I might just highlight the fact that my understanding of car parks in this state probably aren't as strong as the member for Bankstown's, because unlike a lot of the Labor MPs, I joined the new Pope in catching the bus to work. But I do understand, having been briefed by discussed this matter with the Minister for Fair Trading, that this matter is certainly pertinent to a number of motorists, particularly around Sydney. I'm surprised that following a number of court decisions, the Australian National Car Park and other New South Wales car park operators actually have been able to ascertain the details of vehicle owners who are alleged to have parked in breach of their contracted terms. But I'm surprised that, given that the member for Bankstown has actually presented a motion that just simply discloses that there's been 60,000 fines issued throughout Australia, that she seems to think that there's something untoward about a private sector operator seeking payment for services rendered. But let's get to the issue of the agenda, Mr Deputy Speaker. The fact of the matter is that in 2012, Australian National Car Parks commenced issuing payment notices to a proportion of those car owners. The majority of these notices related to incidents occurring in 2010 and 2011. This placed many motorists at a disadvantage, and I want the House to note that in response to the member for Bankstown's motion, the Minister is aware that that motorists were disadvantaged, as these events took place some time ago. Many of the recipients of these notices went to the Department of Fair Trading for advice and assistance, and on various occasions Fair Trading satisfactorily negotiated with Australian National Car Parks for these fines to be waived. So action has occurred. The imputation from the member for Bankstown that the government has somehow been negligent in this matter, or the Department of Fair Trading has been negligent, is simply incorrect. Because to assist consumers, just listen, because you may indeed learn something and stop embarrassing yourself. To assist consumers further, Fair Trading also developed a fact sheet covering frequently asked questions, which were made available on the Fair Trading website and through Facebook, in order to address the issue of preliminary discovery and to prevent private details of New South Wales residents being disclosed to private car park operators, which was the concern that the member for Bankstown raised. The government introduced the Road Transport General Amendment Private Car Parks Act last year. This Act ensured that personal information kept by Roads and Maritime Services will be protected from private car park operators who seek to use this information for the recovery of private car park fees. Turning to the broader issue, the Minister has asked me to assure the House that paid car parking operators across the nation are presently under active surveillance by the Australian Consumer Law Regulators. That's the Australian Consumer Law Regulators. And this work is currently being led by Consumer Affairs in Victoria. As part of this project, Fair Trading engaged in a number of New South Wales-based businesses to ensure that they are fully aware of their ongoing obligations under Australian consumer law. It is worth pointing out that Australian National Car Parks has obligations under Australian consumer law, as do all traders in New South Wales. On the issue of the Victorian Supreme Court ruling, I will point out to the member for Bankstown that she has raised this issue before and it has been addressed. And of course, Mr Deputy Speaker, it is a Victorian Supreme Court ruling. Here we are in New South Wales. To clarify one more time, the Victorian court ruling has deemed that the issues of fines as unlawful cannot be linked to private car park operators in New South Wales. Different jurisdictions. We have states in this country. The reason for this is simple. Car park operators in Victoria were found to have breached Victorian fair trade legislation by engaging in misleading and deceptive conduct. The conduct in question concerned the issuing of documents of a similar design and layout to parking tickets issued by government authorities. This is not the case in New South Wales, different jurisdiction, where private car park operators issued payment notices that have been found to comply with the Australian consumer law. And it is not appropriate to use Victorian example as a standard for dealing with the New South Wales situation. So, Mr Acting Speaker, I urge the House to vote against this notice of motion and suggest quite clearly to the member for Bankstown that before she brings similar troublemaking motions to this House, she go back to Legal Institutions 101.